Thank you so much. Hey. Good morning, everybody. My pleasure to be here. I'm Sreeram. This is my first time here in an Indian blockchain conference, so really excited to get to see all the amazing work you all are doing. Um, my talk today is titled Democratizing the Agentic Economy. You know, some of you all might be wondering, where am I? Like, why are we talking about the agentic economy here at a crypto event? And I'll try to set that up clearly as we go through the talk. I'm founder and CEO of EigenCloud, which is the protocol on top of which, we've built all this stuff. So maybe start with who I am, just a little bit of background. I did my bachelor's here in India, in Chennai, the master's at the Indian Institute of Science here in Bangalore, many years back, finished in 2008. And went to pursue my graduate studies at the Illinois Urbana-Champaign and did postdoctoral work at Berkeley and Stanford before becoming a professor at the University of Washington, Seattle. At the University of Washington, Seattle, I was mainly working on genomics, computational biology, synthetic biology. And when I discovered crypto, it was really something transformative, because when you think about what is the value prop of crypto, it is about creating trust and coordination. Trust and coordination underpins what is the most important evolutionary advantage of humans. If you take a group of people and then put them together, the survival ability increases because they coordinate, because they cooperate, and trust is the friction to this cooperation. And so as we discovered this, I started this company, Eigen Labs, in which we built EigenLayer and many other stuff. Just a quick highlights on some of the numbers. Eigen Labs raised more than $250 million from mainly $170 million from Andreessen Horowitz, which is the leading venture investor in crypto. As well as we built EigenLayer, which has $12 billion of TVL. It's the number 3 protocol in all of crypto. We also built EigenDA, which is a data availability protocol, and which powers many new upcoming chains like MegaETH built on top. There is a very thriving ecosystem built on top. Many startups which have raised a lot of money, more than 500 million, built on top of Eigen. And top players like Google Cloud, Coinbase, Layer 0 built on top as well. Okay, so that's a quick overview of my background. Today's talk is about democratizing the agentic economy. So what is the agentic economy? So my first claim is the agentic economy disrupts all of us. So for many of us, AI is just ChatGPT or a chatbot. You ask it some questions, it answers. It's a question-answering machine. But an agent is a little bit more. It's an AI that can actually take actions. Whenever I'm talking about an agent, I'm talking about an AI agent, right? What is an AI agent? An AI agent is basically an artificial intelligence hooked up with the ability to take actions. What is an action? In software, writing code is an action. Calling an API is an action. Storing a file is an action. Calling an Uber is an action. All of these are just actions. So if you can tie an intelligence with the ability to take actions, you get an agent. And what's the agentic economy? Even a robot is just an agent tied with a physical action. Okay, so what is the agentic economy? It's the impact of AI and agents and robots on our economy. Okay, so this is a huge wave coming up. This is not a small thing, this is a huge thing. Projected $25 trillion of impact in the next 15 years by agents, right? By AI, by agents, by robots. So this is going to affect every single one of us, right? If you're involved in physical work, you might be disrupted by robots. If you're involved in knowledge work, you might be disrupted by agents. If you're involved in just investment in capital, even you're not left alone. Think about OpenAI, which is the biggest AI company today, valued at nearly $1 trillion, and is still staying private. None of us, as much as we want to invest in it, cannot invest in it. So on the one side, we have disruption in physical work knowledge work, and capital investments happening simultaneously. So what do we do about this? Okay, so I want to place this a little bit in the local context here in India. India is one of in the agentic economy, if you think about it, is one of the biggest exporter of talent, right? Google CEOs from here, the Microsoft CEOs from here. It's also the biggest importer of agents. This is Sam Altman's tweet on ChatGPT's founder on India being the #2 adopter of AI outside the US. So this is, India is both exporting AI agent talent and importing agents back. So this trade is not net positive. How do we build a closed loop system, where we can take this talent and build these agents here? Many of you are very talented developers. How do we take this collective energy and build and deploy our own ecosystem of agents here? So one thing that's super important to notice is that the cost, there is a huge amount of timing leverage. What do I mean by that? Today, any of us can actually use AI to invent, to create, to produce new products and services at a rate which is unparalleled. Any one of us can do that today. It's because we can direct these agents in doing actions and creating new software, applications, games, other agents, and so on. So really, really large amount of leverage in actually doing this creation. This may not last. In fact, I'm 100% certain it will not last. Humans need to direct these agents today. There'll come a tipping point when agents can direct agents internally. An AI model itself can prompt and do actions from other agents. Already we are seeing, yesterday, an open problem in mathematics. One of Erdős's open problems was solved by an AI. That's the level at which things are moving. They're moving really, really fast. Okay, so what I'm suggesting here is that there is a limited window of opportunity to act and to actually take advantage of the agentic revolution. Okay, so what do I mean by democratizing the agentic economy? I've established the agentic economy is big. I've established it's important. I've established that there is urgency, that we need to act today. So what would we act like? What does it mean by democratizing the agentic economy? So first, there are some trends which are actually promoting democratization. So the first one is there is many providers for AI models and agents that are competing with each other. It's OpenAI versus Gemini versus DeepSeek V3 versus Kimi K2. All of these AI model providers are competing with each other, slashing costs down. So that's a huge advantage. Second, open source AI is catching up within 6 months to 1 year of frontier models. Anything happens in AI within 6 months, within 1 year, it becomes possible to do it in open source. So this is a huge democratization force that's coming up. And finally, it's both in the AI world, but also in the human world, there is a premium shift from expertise, from knowledge, to agency. So what do I mean from shifting from expertise to agency is knowledge is now available for free for all of us. It's about who can take advantage of that knowledge and create useful action and impact and output from that. That's agency, right? It's not just AI agents, it's human agency, us actually having individual agency to go create, to produce, to do new things. And so once you have agency, you have all the tools available right now today in the agentic economy to actually go and do this. So what is missing? So there are these secular forces which are helping in democratization, but there are some which are hindering or need to be fixed. And the first one is to innovate in this agentic economy. We need access to trust and capital. So imagine I go and build a new agent, and Sam Altman builds an agent. You're going to use Sam Altman's agent. You're not going to use my agent because, OpenAI is trusted. I'm a random guy. So you have this asymmetry between, the well-established, the trust and the capital available to the well-established and the trust and capital available to each one of us here. So that's the first thing. So we need capital and trust. And second, we need open access to invest. It can't be this way that, all the big companies today, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, all of them IPO'd at hundreds of millions of dollars. They launched in public market at hundreds of millions of dollars and rode up to trillions of dollars in public markets, bringing that gain to every one of us public investors, if you're in the US. Similarly, you want the access to invest, the ability to invest in these breakthrough technologies. So today what's happening is there is this big tech plus Wall Street, big tech innovation, and Wall Street investment. That's where the whole action is today. Can we shift this to small tech, to new tech, to each one of us being able to innovate, and Main Street to be able to invest? Main Street, every one of us should actually be able to invest. Okay, so this is what I mean by democratizing the agentic economy. So you have this upcoming disruption in AI and agents. It's going to affect all of us. We need to be able to have a position to innovate and to invest and to take part in the upside and value that is going to be created in the agentic economy. Okay, how do we do this? Before I talk about, how do we democratize the agentic economy, I want to give stories of hope. Two stories. Both of them very close to my heart. The first one is a story of Gajesh. He is, when he was 13 in Goa, he built a smart contract on Ethereum, on Polygon actually. This smart contract was a mechanism for doing some kind of money management. And he comes from a very regular background, and he was able to deploy this smart contract on top of Ethereum, on Polygon, and actually attract $7 million of investment into his smart contract. A thing that only JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley could do before Ethereum and smart contracts. Why? Because why would you trust a counterparty with your money? Especially an unknown kid from Goa. So this is possible because Ethereum, the blockchain, underwrites trust so that anybody can invest capital. The blockchain underwrites trust so anybody can invest capital. They're not trusting Gajesh. They're trusting that the Ethereum blockchain works as stated, and therefore anybody can now come and invest in this smart contract. So Gajesh went on to do lots of amazing stuff. He's now working with us at Eigen Labs. We got him an O1 extraordinary ability visa to come and work with us in Seattle. And he got letters from everybody, including the founder of Solana, Polygon, the AI czar for the US as well. So another story I want to say is the story of Polygon. I mean, it might be known to a lot of you, but the idea that it's one of the first Indian globally competitive software companies. One of the first Indian globally competitive software companies. And it was possible because you could build a protocol that nobody needs to trust. And because you build a protocol that nobody needs to trust, Sandeep and the team at Polygon, Sandeep will be here today giving a talk, so you should listen to what's going on there. But this is a huge movement that happened starting from India. Okay, so these are two stories talking about how crypto democratized finance. And my claim is we can do much more. We can go much beyond just finance. We can actually democratize the agentic economy. Okay, how do we do this? So the core flywheel of all of crypto is this two sides. By providing a protocol of verifiable trust. Think of Bitcoin, okay? So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's created by an anon, somebody who we don't know, like who this Satoshi is. Till now, nobody knows. Yet, it's worth $2 trillion. Why is it worth $2 trillion? It's worth $2 trillion because you don't need to know who Satoshi is. You don't need to know who these people are because there is a protocol, there is an algorithm that underwrites trust. Everybody knows how this algorithm works, and it enabled many, many people to invest and grow with the whole Bitcoin era. People mine BTC at home. It's permissionless. Anybody can run a node and mine BTC. And by participating in this flywheel, they created a lot of value. So then what happened is, after Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana and other things created way more opportunities for anybody like Gajesh to come and create new smart contracts and tokens of value that anybody can invest in. And people can invest in these things because they don't need to trust the person who's creating it. They don't need to trust the person who's creating it because it's a protocol, it's a code, it's an algorithm. And you only need to understand the code, you need to understand the algorithm, and you can invest in it. And this is the most democratizing force that exists today. As AI and agents on the one side centralize power massively, crypto on the other side can be the force that democratizes power to all of us to actually be able to take, build, innovate, and invest. Okay, so now I talked a bit about how crypto has this flywheel, the connection between open innovation. Anybody can come and be an innovator, and open investment, that anybody can come and invest. And connecting these two things was possible for anything that can be built on-chain, built into a protocol, built on a smart contract. But when you think about the agentic economy, you're not going to be able to build an agent as a smart contract. That's not possible today. It's not going to be able to build, it's not possible to just take an app or a game or a social media network and then put it on-chain. This is not possible today. So in the evolution of crypto, like till now, what has happened is successively the ability to do more things on-chain has expanded. But it's still stuck at a place where I can't do everything I can do on a cloud, I can't do today on-chain. So this is the reason we built EigenCloud. Anything you can do on the internet, you should be able to do with a smart contract. Anything that you can do on the internet, you should be able to do with a smart contract. So that's the idea of EigenCloud. You should be able to build anything verifiably. Build anything verifiably. Whether it's an app, it's a game, it's a social media network, it's an AI agent, you should be able to build all of this on top of EigenCloud. So, just looking at the evolution here, Bitcoin to Ethereum to Solana, underpinning all of this, I think, is the scaling of compute that is trustworthy, that is verifiable. Bitcoin, the amount of compute fits on a $10 hardware. Ethereum, the amount of compute that fits on the network fits on a $1,000 laptop. Solana, Mega ETH, new chains coming up, L2s coming up, all of these, the compute can fit on a single server, a $10,000 server. This is not enough to even build a single powerful AI agent. You need cloud scale. You need the ability to access any amount of compute that you want. You need the ability to run arbitrary hardware. And this is the goal of EigenCloud, is to enable you to build anything verifiably with trust on top of EigenCloud. So you can build a huge economy of agents because underneath it is EigenCloud, which is cloud scale. So a little bit about how it works. I'm not going to get into details here. But the core idea is you can have, blockchains are optimized for finance and storing tokens and transacting tokens. That's what they're optimized for. They're not optimized for running your AI agent, running your app, running your social media account or your network. They're not optimized for that. But what we do is we build an off-chain service where you can run a compute. Anything you can package into a Docker container, you can send it to EigenCloud. Just package your program, any program in any language using any hardware, you can just send it to EigenCloud and it'll execute it off-chain and bring it verifiably on-chain. So what does it mean? The code runs off-chain, but the actions can be taken on-chain. And this is a huge transformation. And when you think about how the actions are taken on-chain, how is it verified that it's done correctly? There is all kinds of technologies. There is zero-knowledge proofs. There is crypto-economic security, where you stake, the person who's running it stakes an amount of money and promises that they run it correctly. Or there is hardware security, like trusted execution environments. EigenCloud lets you choose any one of these technologies under the hood, run it, and bring these results back on-chain. You don't need to worry about all these details. All you need to do is to just send an off-chain code, the code executes on EigenCloud, and then the results can trigger actions on any blockchain. So you can connect any app, any agent, any game, any social media network to the blockchain. A smart contract can now control anything that you're doing on Web 2. That's the transformation that we're proposing with EigenCloud. Anything you can run inside a Docker container, you can run it on EigenCloud. Okay, so how does this compare with a regular cloud? A regular cloud at the base layer is a data center. It's a set of servers that actually power the computation. The base layer of EigenCloud is EigenLayer. What is EigenLayer? Anybody can stake and run compute for any proposed computation. So EigenLayer allows anybody to come and participate and run nodes because they are staked, because they put up a bunch of stake and then promise that they're going to run the computation correctly. But nobody goes to AWS to actually just want a data center. You want easy-to-use services like storage, like compute, like AI inference. That's exactly what we have built recently on EigenCloud, is you take the underlying data center, the power of EigenLayer, and then abstract it into EigenCompute, EigenAI, EigenDA. Each one of these are really, really hard and powerful services. EigenCompute, you can just take any Docker container, send it, it executes it, brings the result back on chain. EigenAI, you can run AI inference verifiably, deterministically. It's the only deterministic AI inference API. You can just, wherever you're using an OpenAI API, you can just hot swap it to an EigenAI API, which you can use any open source AI model under the hood in EigenAI. So these services are all already live on mainnet alpha. So you can actually go play, build on top of this today. Okay, so what you build on top of this, on top of these clouds, you have powerful apps. In the same way, you can actually build any app today and link it into crypto rails using EigenCloud. So that's the superpower. I won't go into more details. Finally, EigenCloud uniquely empowers agents. For an AI agent, you have, like the mind is basically its intelligence that is coming from AI and inference. Its body is, the amount of compute that it needs to do, and that runs on EigenCompute. The data that you need, your memory, actually lives on EigenDA. By integrating all these services, you can actually build very powerful, unstoppable, verifiable AI agents on top of EigenCloud. And these agents can be tokenized and invested, protocolized, and people can trust it because all of the processes underlying EigenCloud run verifiably in a trustworthy manner. Okay, so we have all these cool tech. What can you do with it? I'm going to give you 5 applications of what you can do with this today. So the first one is agentic trading. The biggest use case of all of crypto today is just trading. Most people are just speculating on tokens going up or down. And instead of you yourself having to do this, why don't you have an AI agent that actually does this for you? And instead of having one agent do it for each person, how about there are several agents created and anybody can invest in these agents? And that's what EigenCloud lets you do. Because once you make your agent verifiable, what does it mean by verifiable? Only this piece of code will handle this piece of money. If you can guarantee that only this piece of code can take actions and move this unit of money, then anybody can invest money into it. The agent itself becomes verifiable. And because the agent is verifiable and trustworthy, now anybody can invest money into it. You can actually build very powerful trading agents. And the hook here is very simple. You put your assets on any blockchain. It could be Ethereum, it could be Hyperliquid, it could be Lighter, it could be Solana, whatever chain you want. You put your assets on that chain and give the control to the Eigen agent, which is running on EigenCompute or EigenAI, and it can actually go and do actions on chain. So we did a partnership with Google Cloud for agentic payments, and also Eliza OS is actually building trading agents on top. So, and one of the quote here is, it says, running inside EigenCloud's TE was straightforward. It immediately gave us something we can't get in a normal cloud. Okay, so you can build trading agents. I think there is a huge amount of innovation to be done just on this. Hundreds of new ideas. Just like DeFi enabled many people to create new powerful smart contracts, agentic trading is going to open up a huge opportunity for many people to create new and interesting ways to express constraints. For example, somebody should be able to come in and say, I only want to trade BTC, ETH, or USD. I don't want to touch all these random altcoins. Somebody might want to say, I want to constrain my leverage between 3x and don't short. So all these kinds of things people can now build and deploy on top of EigenCloud. And when you build and deploy these agents on EigenCloud, nobody needs to trust you because they can just look at the code and understand what the agent is doing. This is a massive democratization force. So next one, agents and games. Crypto and gaming was supposed to take off, and it never really did because there was no real killer use case. So one of the things that we kind of discovered as we were building EigenCompute and AI is the ability for games to be off-chain. The game runs off-chain, but you can settle things like tournaments on-chain. Right? Think of a massively multiplayer game that anybody can put in money, and they're basically betting that they're going to win the tournament. And whoever wins the tournament, they get all the money. Right? It's just we all come in and play a game, and whoever wins, they take the money. But to do this, you need the blockchain to understand who won the game. How do you do that? You can just slam the game on EigenCompute, and the game logic runs off-chain, but is brought in verifiably on-chain. And so, one of our partners called OpenFront, they're not a crypto game at all. They have nothing to do with crypto. They're actually like a massively multiplayer open source game. They have like 50,000 daily active users. This is a quote from them. Running paid tournaments was impossible before EigenCloud. Payment process would freeze accounts. International transfers took weeks. And players never trusted me to pay out fairly. Players never trusted me to pay out fairly. Because who's this guy? He's actually an independent developer who built this game. But now they can actually do everything on top of EigenCloud, automated. It is super easy to take a program which is running on the regular cloud and port it to EigenCloud. Okay, so I'm going to skip this one. Social media. What can you do for social media? Trust in social media is at all-time low. Here is a fight between Sam Altman and Elon Musk on whether X is screwed up or the App Store is prioritizing ChatGPT. How do you ensure that your recommendations that you're looking at are all fair or all run through a known verifiable algorithm? You can just run that recommendation algorithm on EigenCloud, and you can actually get these certificates. So if you look today, there are chains like Farcaster, which actually have metadata of various social media feeds. You can take this and run the recommendation algorithm on EigenCloud and then bring the results back to get verifiable timelines. We have a partner called OpenRank building an app called Cura, which is actually doing this. But once you can bind an off-chain account to a smart contract, you can do much, much more. You can actually go to X or Instagram, have an Instagram account owned by a smart contract and controlled by a DAO. You can do really, really powerful things because once you bind the off-chain to the on-chain, you can get smart contract level control for anything that is off-chain. Okay, governance. Agents can play a huge role in governance. Think of a protocol where you want to issue tokens to people, to developers who are actually contributing to your protocol. Or in a meme coin, for example, you want to have incentives for anybody to go and propagate your meme. How do you do these things in a verifiable, trustworthy manner? What you can do is you can stream your social media data into a container sitting on EigenCompute and take those results and then take actions on chain where this agent which is a combination of AI and compute, can actually distribute your tokens in a verifiable manner. So this is a huge value proposition. Recently, we had Polymarket use Eigen AI to do exactly this. So Polymarket has this new concept called verifiable mindshare markets, where what happens in these markets is basically you analyze various feeds to find out how much mindshare different projects have. So now you can run prediction markets on top of this. And this is a quote from Kaito, who's our partner doing this. Transforming AI from an opaque black box to a verifiable system is a challenging task. However, by partnering with EigenCloud, we achieved this goal with minimal changes to our infrastructure. They could migrate from their OpenAI API to an Eigen AI API in no time, because you can just hot swap it and immediately get the superpower of verifiability. What do I mean by that? In this case, if you run Eigen AI again and again, you will get exactly the same answer. You'll get exactly the same answer. So this combats any kind of like preferential bias. Oh, Kaito is giving that influencer more tokens because their favoritism and so on. You don't have that, because once you run on Eigen AI, every time you run on Eigen AI, you get exactly the same answer. Okay, finally, EigenCloud enables sovereign agents. Okay, this is a very crazy concept, so I want to take a minute to explain this. So here is an interview with the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and Dwarkesh. In this interview, the Dwarkesh asked Satya, do you think AI is a new kind of species? Can AI do like things that that any other species can do? And like Satya replies, this entire world is constructed with things like humans owning properties, having rights, taking liabilities, entering into contracts. These are not things that are available for AI or agents. This is human-centric. Our legal infrastructure is human-centric. So it's not possible for an agent to do any of this. So agents are only human delegates. So when you think about it, what are blockchains? Blockchains allow programs to own property. Blockchains allow programs to own property. The EigenLayer program owns $12 billion of property. The EigenLayer program owns $12 billion of property. What do I mean by that? People have put in $12 billion into the EigenLayer program because they know how the program works. They know exactly how it's going to work. And it's the same way. Now, if you can take an AI agent and put it into a smart contract, an agent can own property. An agent can stake and take liabilities. If it goes wrong, it'll lose its money. An agent can start companies. It can create new DAOs. And so this is a really new, really powerful new thing that can be done because of crypto and agents. But this is impossible before, because you cannot take an AI agent and put it into a smart contract. But it is possible with EigenCloud. It is possible with EigenCloud. Now what you can do is you can just hot swap like an agent into a smart contract. You can take an AI agent, connect it into a smart contract. It has its own money. It takes its own actions. You can create fully self-sovereign agents. Agents that can actually go do their own things. And here's an example. Lil Michaela, she's actually a virtual influencer. She's a virtual influencer. She's not a real person. She's a virtual influencer. She has 7 million followers. This is, pre-Gen AI. This is not like last 2 years. They started this in 2017. And Lil Michaela has become a big movement. Like, they have 7 million followers, 75 million streams. Like, a lot of action. So this is a quote from the Dapper Labs, which owns Lil Michaela. They say, her thoughts, creations, and advocacy have existed within a black box, subject to the unseen influence of our creators. Because they, as creators, Dapper Labs is the creator, Dapper Labs can go and change anything they want in this agent. It's their agent. It is not a sovereign, self-sovereign agent. EigenCloud can move a digital being's logic into a verifiable environment. You can take this logic, run it on EigenCloud, and then make it fully verifiable. You can actually build really powerful self-sovereign agents on EigenCloud. Finally, finish with a call to arms. Each one of us, in this agentic economy can take agency, can innovate, can invest. So I want to call to developers here, any of you, please scan this QR code. We are doing a workshop on office hours, December 4, 10:30 a.m. This is just remote online. So, our devs will help answer questions on how to build and deploy on EigenCloud. There is an open innovation grant and docs for you to build. It's super, super, super easy to take an app and slam it on top of Eigen Compute, connect it to a smart contract today. Thank you so much.